think we're set up here. I've got the browser page. I've got you in the bottom corner. What else do we need?
That's fine. Just put me wherever you feel.
You got the Be Quiet logo on twice on the screen.
Oh yeah, I got another one. Oh, there's actually no logo, but I'm wearing some of our merch, of course.
Is noisy enough. The quiet.
Yeah.
I like that. That's pretty cool. Right. Let's have a quick look at my notes because we had a bit of a structure going, didn't we?
We did, yes.
So.
And I'm hope I'm not jumping ahead, but at the end you'll be given a chance to win some of this merch that I'm wearing as well.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Camera's frozen. Oh well.
Mine or?
Yeah, I think Discord being Discord, video on Discord is always a bit hit and miss. So sometimes I think you might freeze.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we did have a bit of a structure. First of all, thank you for letting me speak a bit about our brand here. I'm hoping that I can make it enjoyable to your community as well. We want to get involved a bit with gaming as brand as Be Quiet, and we feel that your stream is a very good opportunity for us because you have a great community, obviously, and chill streams, lots of opportunities for discussions. And today I wanted to tell you a bit about what we're about and what you can expect from our support of the Squirrel TV stream.
No, that sounds brilliant. I mean, everybody's excited to hear about Be Quiet, the brand, and like power supplies and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's kick it off. Do you want to just tell us about Be Quiet and the values of the brand?
Gladly. I mean, the values are pretty much in the name, or the main value. It's Be Quiet with an exclamation point. So we're all about being quiet and offering silent products. But another core value for us is, of course, quality control and performance as well. We've also our design. I guess I would call it sober or neat. So we are using the colors orange and black a lot. We've kind of softened that up in the recent years where we dabbled in ARGB, but we do know that a lot of our fans appreciate that we're not going all Christmas tree or rainbow sick, or unicorn sick, I guess I should say. And we'll always offer something for the Be Quiet fans that are not really into ARGB. But those who are, they might actually see a bit more like that from us in the future. But what a lot of you probably don't know is that the company behind Be Quiet is actually not called Be Quiet. It is actually called Listan. That's put together by the names of some of our founders. And the company was actually founded in the year 2000, so 21 years ago, near Hamburg in Germany, as a hardware distribution company and online shop for enthusiasts. So the older ones among you might remember that back then most computer cases were eggshell colored. And Listan was reaching out to companies that offered something a bit more special for the PC enthusiasts. And that's how the company got started. And then after 2 years, so in 2002, that's actually the birth of the brand Be Quiet. So next year, we actually have our 20-year brand anniversary. And the first product was fittingly a sound dampening mat that you can put inside your computer case to make it more quiet. Then a year later, Be Quiet released their first power supply unit. And it took a few years of only making power supply units. But in 2009, Be Quiet released their first fan, the Silent Wings fan, which is still our flagship model and has won multiple awards as well from different hardware websites all over the world, including like Kit Guru, for example, or the European Hardware Association. So Silent Wings, the top model, was the first fan that we released. It seemed natural because a power supply unit always has a fan. So why not also venture into that direction a bit? That also meant it was just a short step towards offering CPU coolers as well, because they're also using fans. That was in 2010 when we released the first Dark Rock CPU cooler. We're now at the 4th iteration of Dark Rock coolers. And then in 2013, we released our first case. That was the Silent Base 800, which was soon followed by the Silent Base 600, so a bit smaller version. And the cases is something where we've seen a bit of development in the recent years, because we noticed that a lot of our customers actually appreciated cases with a bit more airflow. And we have always been offering cases that have a closed front to make it more quiet and put some sound dampening material in the front. But that restricted the airflow. And in some cases, especially if you have a beefier machine, that could cause some temperature concerns. So fairly recently, we've started offering airflow versions of our cases as well, like you see with the PureBase 500 DX, for example, or with the Silent Base 802. We actually stick to the old model of offering a closed front, but also have a airflow mesh front included in the package. And that is something you will see from us in the future as well, most definitely, because we actually found that, sound dampening materials are able to filter out especially high frequency noise, like coil whine, for example. But to just achieve an overall calm system, you can also simply use quality fans and have them spin at reasonable levels. So yeah, that's one way how we still keep our promise of delivering quiet products, but also offering more airflow.
Okay.
We joined the water cooling market as well in 2016, and we released a few products on that front as well since last year with the Pure Loop and Silent Loop 2. And we do have more than 100 employees worldwide to this day. We have dependencies in the USA, in Poland, and Taiwan. And we have people working remotely as well in many other regions like the UK and France, for example, Ukraine, Russia. Yeah, that's about the story of Be Quiet.
Awesome. How about, because I'm seeing questions coming in chat on various things, so it might be better if we just kind of go through and focus on each category, and then we can ask questions on that. So maybe start off with power supplies. We can talk about the power supplies, and then I can lift out questions that you have on power supplies. First question, if you want to take one, is how are the power supplies tested?
Okay, that's a good question. We have two ways of testing power supplies. One is the scientific way, basically. That's hooking up to a Chroma machine, a Chroma power supply tester, where you can enter different programs. You can you can basically put a manual load or a synthetic load on a power supply to see how it performs. You can also put cross loads on it. You can also test the protections, for example. You can test for short circuits, everything. But that's synthetic loads. So once a power supply passes the synthetic tests, we also use it in an actual real system. So we work closely with manufacturers like NVIDIA, AMD, Intel to have the latest hardware at hand at all times to see how it actually performs under these conditions. We also give out recommendations. For example, when NVIDIA released the RTX 3000 series last year, we got a few of those cards. We were one of the lucky ones who got a few cards. We did purchase them. We're not getting everything for free either. And well, we tested and gave recommendations what kind of power you need. And we actually found that the power demand for the 3000 series did increase a bit because of high power spikes that you can see from time to time.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that was the bane of my life, was the power spikes that came on a 3090.
true, yeah. Yeah, and then of course there's differences between the series and build quality as well, of course. And what you got is the DAC Power Pro 12, which is our top of the line, absolutely high end power supply unit, with titanium efficiency and digital regulation, which means, well, digital regulation means the power supply is able to react faster to changes in power demand.
So, looking at your power supplies, because obviously there's two aspects, isn't there? There's the power rating, which is obviously one decision choice, but then there's the kind of, I don't know how you want to call it, the the
Yeah.
model, like the
So
range. So, I mean, what are the difference in the ranges, and then we can talk about the power requirements.
yeah, when you look at Be Quiet in general, anything that starts with dark means high end. Anything that starts with pure means we call it our essential series, basically. And then in between, the name differs a bit from our different product categories. Whether you have a fan or case or power supply, the name is always a bit different. But you have pure base and dark base basically as our low end and high end cases, and the same for the power supplies with pure power and dark power. What you said, the power rating or the efficiency rating, I should call it, that's most commonly the power supply manufacturers are using 80 plus for that. 80 plus goes from 80 plus standard or 80 plus white, which barely anyone is using anymore, through 80 plus bronze, silver, gold, platinum, up to titanium. So titanium, for example, is the only efficiency rating that also checks for efficiency at 10% load, which is a really low load. But if we're being honest, most of the time a PC is going to run in idle mode. So efficiency at low load is becoming more and more important. And that's something that Intel, for example, has noticed as well, or lawmakers in the USA, where power requirements, especially under low load, have been quite increased. Or the requirements have quite increased in recent years. But that's something you can see. If you see a label on a power supply that says 80 plus gold, you know it's going to be reasonably efficient. What you cannot see from this label is the actual quality of the power supply. So if you want to know, for example, in your case, Paul, where the power supply you had previously wasn't able to keep up with the load changes of your graphics card, that's something you can only find out if you read reviews,
Right.
basically.
Something to do with the line noise and monitoring the motherboard or something is all I know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, something to do with the way it kind of monitors what's going on and then reacts to it.
The quality of components, so to speak, that can't be put into a label, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
80 plus label is a good way to start. Because the 80 plus label also costs money. It costs money to get that label, to get the certification. So you can assume that anyone who has a label, and it's not a fake label like 90 plus or something like that, the power supply is probably going to be okay. It's not going to blow up.
Yeah. I mean, how long do power supplies expected to last? And like, what if you're running them 24 hours a day as opposed to just 6 hours a day or something?
Well, most power supplies are not supposed to run 24 hours a day, but they can. But
Mine does.
yeah, I mean, the high quality power supplies obviously can, but there's specific server power supplies as well, that are intended to run 24/7. But yeah, if you never turn off your computer, I mean, the components are going to degrade a bit quicker. But in general, it's gonna last you probably 5 to 10 years. It can last that long anyway.
Okay. So what about the actual power requirements? Because we've got a question already that says, I need 1,000+ watts of power. Recommend me a Be Quiet one, please. So he's up at the top end. But
Oh,
how do you
that's
work
a
out what power you need and then which one to go for?
That's a great segue because we actually do offer a PSU calculator on our website where you can put in your configuration, and then it's gonna tell you what we recommend and which power supply from Be Quiet we recommend as well.
I've linked it into chat for them.
Awesome. Yeah. So you can also, like, if you don't trust this tool, I guess if a manufacturer is offering a tool to recommend your product, it's fairly easy to assume they're going to try to upsell you. You can put in just a single component and have it calculate the power demand, and it's going to show you what kind of power we calculate for this particular component. So if you're interested in how much power, for example, does Be Quiet think you need to run an RTX 3080, just put that in, click calculate, and you see exactly how much we're calculating. What we should also note is obviously we're calculating with the maximum power, and we're also calculating with a bit of headroom.
Right. So these kind of weird power surges and power spikes that you get, it takes that into account.
Yes, exactly. Especially, we've also added some parameters in there for example, cables. Some of our power supply units, the wattage might be able to supply the graphics card, but we don't offer enough cables. So there's a filter for that as well.
And do you think people should, like, when they're buying a power supply, they should think about what they might put in the future, like if they upgrade the graphics card year or two?
That's always a good idea because the power supply will almost always last you longer than your graphics card or CPU.
And what about the efficiency of the power supply? Like, how much power do you need for the power supply to be running efficiently? Like, where is it kind of peaking at?
Yeah, that is actually a myth, or well, it was true like 15 years ago, when people say that the power supply is running most efficiently at 50 to 60% load. That used to be true, but quality of power supplies in general has really increased over the past years. As I said, there's titanium power supplies now, and Intel has upped their requirements as well. So most power supplies you see, they will have an efficiency of 70% even at like 100 watts load, which is basically idle for a gaming system. So what people used to say, make sure to select a power supply that's covering like 50-60% of your power demand. That's not true anymore. You can select a smaller power supply with less wattage. That's basically covering the maximum that you might encounter, but you don't have to buy a bigger power supply anymore to make sure it's running at the sweet spot when it's at full load.
Okay. And somebody's asking if you're planning on bringing out a power supply with USB connection to the motherboard so that you can read the power usage data and loads.
That's a whole other beast. We don't have a programming in-house programming team at the moment, so we would need some software programming for that. And right now, we're mostly focusing on how we can get the maximum out of a power supply without any software. Or, well, that's actually something we're doing with all our products. For example, we have some products with ARGB lighting, and we're making sure it's compatible with the most common software that's out there, but we're not offering our own.
And will you be bringing out, or will you be following the trend of power supplies with a 12-volt rail only?
That is something we've actually been looking at for quite some time since Intel first announced it. And we haven't decided yet whether we'll introduce a 12-volt only power supply unit. We are prepared to do that if it becomes necessary. We've run some internal tests, and the main reason for 12-volt only and why Intel is pushing this topic so heavily with the Alder Lake release was efficiency gains at low levels. We did some internal testing with a adapter, basically the ATX adapter, the 24-pin goes into I think it's a 10-pin adapter. And we ran tests with a prototype of a 12-volt only model against our straight power 11 with this adapter, and the standard ATX power supply was able to stand its ground in some cases was even more efficient, even at low load. So we don't really see the advertised advantage of 12-volt only. This might be different in like lower quality, lower efficiency in general models, but our power supplies, even the Pure Power series, is not the entry level that other competitors are offering. It's a bit higher standard. So yeah, right now we don't have any plans to release a 12-volt only power supply unit. If we see it's becoming necessary, which we don't believe, depending, well, based on our own testing, we will definitely think about it. But what we will do is we will offer an adapter. So if someone wants to purchase a 12-volt only motherboard, they can continue running it with our power supplies.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to talk about power supplies, or I wonder if anybody else has any more power supply questions?
Circling back to the guy who said he wants, or he needs a 1,000-watt power supply unit. First of all, I would ask you, do you really? Because that is still quite a lot, 1,000 watts. That's something you would need for an RTX 3090 and high power CPU. But most of the time, like for a 3070 Ti or even 3080, usually 750 or 850 watts will probably be enough. So be sure to check that out before you buy.
Somebody in chat's mentioning, obviously, rumors at this stage about a 3090 Ti potentially needing 600 watts. Therefore, you know, should they be aiming, if you're getting a power supply now, should you be thinking about, 800 to 1,000 watt or more kind of thing for the future?
I mean, I've seen the rumors too, and we are preparing for that. We do expect, especially graphics cards with PCI Express 5 and the 600 watt power draw they can theoretically support through their connector. We do expect graphics cards to become more power hungry, and we are preparing for that.
Yeah.
But a 3090 Ti, yeah, sure. If you intend to upgrade to a 3090 Ti, then get the 1,000 power supply, the 1,000 watt power supply. But
then
if you're running, but if you're running anything like if you just purchased a 3070 or something, I wouldn't do that.
No, but it's fair to say that at the moment this is all just rumors. Nothing's confirmed by Nvidia. But if you believe in rumors, then think ahead.
I think it's a fairly educated guess to say that the next generation of graphics cards will become more power hungry.
Well, I don't think any generation going forward has gone down in power requirements for a while.
Some of them have. Like sometimes the jump was not that much in clock speed or something, but it remained at the same efficiency level, or even the graphics cards were able to put out more power, more performance at the same power.
Yeah.
So, I think what the 3000 series did that was quite unusual, that the power demand actually went up quite significantly.
Yeah. I think, is the next section going to be about fans?
Oh, it can be.
Or did you want to go for something else? But
no, fans is fine.
Just before we do it, because people are starting to redeem giveaway points, so I just need to probably... I was hoping that we could do the giveaway thing later, not to distract from chat, but it might be just taking a second for me to explain how they enter the giveaway, and then we can just pick it up later. So if my mods can basically just post the link to the giveaway, we'll have the details on it, and then the subs you can enter using you've got 5 tickets that you can enter with. If you want to enter the giveaway with channel points, you can redeem them, but you have to redeem them in the Twitch chat. But go and have a look at the giveaway page first, and it'll tell you there how to enter. There's 2 ways of entering. One is to redeem points. It's 10,000 channel points for 1 ticket. You can enter multiple times. You do it in the Twitch chat, though. If you want to do it because you're a sub, you need to do that on the actual giveaway page. Because you're a sub, you get 5 tickets, basically. So 2 ways to enter. As a sub, you get 5 tickets, channel points, 10,000 channel points per ticket. Buy whatever you want. Just bear in mind, guys, don't completely burn all of your points away, because we may do stuff in the future and you'll be sorry you didn't have any points saved up. So think about that as well. Don't just blow all your points today, kind of thing. But we'll actually do the giveaway draw towards the end. But just letting you know now how to enter.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on and talk about fans.
I did see some questions in chat that I found interesting, or comments. So
right.
If we have time, I'd like to get back to that. So Falcon said a 1,500 watt power supply doesn't draw that from the wall all the time. That's absolutely correct. That's also a misconception that many people have, because just because the power supply can draw up to 850 watts, it doesn't always do that. It always draws from the wall what it actually needs to convert into, direct current.
Yeah. Are they? They're quite quiet, aren't they? The power supplies. I don't think I notice any noise coming out of mine. To be fair, even though there's the fan going, I don't hear it.
Yeah, there's two potential sources of noise in a power supply. One is the fan, if it has one. Completely passive power supplies do exist. We don't offer any because Be Quiet, we believe that we should always constantly cool the components in a power supply to increase the longevity. But they do exist. And the other thing is electrical noise, like what you would know as coil whine, which is why a lot of the coils are actually glued together so they can't move that much and create the coil whine.
What is the coil whine? Is that some kind of weird interference, or?
It's a feedback noise, basically. So this is where my explanation might get a bit flimsy, and an electrical engineer might prove me wrong. But basically, different components in the PC can run at different frequencies. That's the flimsy part. But basically, if the power frequency of the GPU, for example, is different from the power supply, it gets a feedback, and that makes the coils move. That is a very flimsy explanation, so please don't take that. Please do take that with a grain of salt. But that's a very resonate. Yeah, that's a good way to say, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the oscillators inside and whatever. So they just kind of interfere with each other in the noise. Because I've had coil whine come out of graphics cards before.
Yes, yeah, that's also very common. We do see that with the 37 and 3070 Ti quite a lot. Most of the times it helps to buy a better power supply unit, and then it goes away.
With better components.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Any more questions on power supplies before we move on to fans, guys? I think we've answered most of the stuff on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So your
fans,
your
please.
Dark stuff is at the top end. Your pure stuff is at the lower end, is it? And then you've got other names in between.
We got other names in between. For fans, actually, our premium fan is called Silent Wings, not Dark Wings.
Just to be confused. You should have called it Dark Silent Wings.
Dark Wings, there might be a copyright issue as well. So Silent Wings is our top premium fan. So we're at Silent Wings 3 now, which is all our fans are offered as a PWM version and as a 3-pin version. Basically, PWM means pulse width modulation, which is a technology that the fan speed can be regulated without decreasing the voltage. 3-pin fans, they can only be regulated by decreasing the voltage. For a regular fan, that's not really an issue, but as soon as you add light to a fan, for example, which we as Be Quiet haven't done yet, but if you have an RGB fan and you reduce the voltage, the light might also not shine as bright anymore.
Okay.
Then at the essential line, we have the Pure Wings 2 fan, and then somewhere in the middle we have the Shadow Wings 2, which is the Shadow Wings is basically it's a bit of an outlier. It has a very low RPM, is very silent, and is only intended as a case fan, while Pure Wings and Silent Wings are fans that we use iterations of these fans in our other products, for example, in power supply units or in cases. So, for example, in our Dark Base series, you will see Silent Wings fans. On our Silent Loop 2 water cooler, you also see Silent Wings fans. And then in the Pure Base series, you see Pure Wings fans. And on our Pure Loop water cooler, for example, you also have a Pure Wings fan. So it's basically we're trying to basically by using our retail fans that people know in our other products, we hope that we imbue confidence into these products. Because a lot of companies are using no-name fans. We do that with our very, very entry-level products as well. But if we can say, well, it's a Pure Wings fan, it's a Silent Wings fan, then people already have a pretty good idea of what they can expect.
So a couple of questions that are pretty much close to each other, so I'll just read them together. One is, how do your fans compare to other competitors? And the other question is, why buy a Be Quiet fan over a Noctua other than aesthetics?
Other than aesthetics, well, aesthetics would have been my first suggestion. If you're not into the brown beige aesthetic, get a Silent Wings instead. No, but in all seriousness, most of the time we are very focused on silence. So with our CPU coolers and also with our fans, sometimes we might not perform as well as others, but we are usually quieter, especially, and we're also able, in a noise normalized setting, to offer good performance. We are very competitive. We do like to compare ourselves to Noctua as well in our internal testing a lot. So that is a very fitting argument. But honestly, I'm not going to tell you not to buy Noctua. They make great fans. We make great fans as well, I believe, and ours just might look a bit nicer.
Does Be Quiet have different ranges of fans for flow and pressure and everything in between?
We kind of do for some of our fans, or for our Pure Wing series and Silent Wing series. We have both a regular speed version and we have a high speed version. So the high speed version is basically able to cover a bit more ground. But at the moment, that's the only difference that our fans offer. We know that our Pure Wings 2 are very well suited for to be used on heatsinks and radiators, and our Silent Wings 3 are a bit of a jack of all trades. And then, of course, we have the Shadow Wings, which we wouldn't recommend putting on a radiator unless you don't need that much airflow, because the maximum RPM is fairly low. But no, we don't have any pressure, static pressure versions at the moment.
So presumably, if you're putting a fan on a radiator, you need to consider the pressure because it's got to push the air through the radiator grill.
Very true.
Whereas if you just put it on a case, you kind of
then
don't need to
airflow.
worry about it. You need airflow, yeah. So which brings
right.
me to another question is, like, when you're putting fans on a computer, because you can put fans on the top, you can put them on the back, you can put them on the front, you could even put them on the side panel sometimes. I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a particular design, a particular way of thinking this through? Like, what should you be aiming to do?
There are different concepts that work with, for example, positive pressure, negative pressure, or equalized pressure. I would always recommend to have fans at the front and bottom suck air into the case, and then have fans at the rear and at the top blowing out, basically. But of course, you need to make sure that you have nothing obstructing at the rear, top, or front for this. There's also concepts that utilize negative pressure. For example, that means you have more fans sucking air out or blowing air out than sucking in, and positive pressure, which means, you're relying on the openings of the case to remove the hot air and blow more air in than out. But in our experience, the equalized pressure is probably the best method.
I think that's the approach I've always taken is that in a room, cold air sits at the bottom and warm air sits at the top. That's just physics.
Yeah.
So therefore, you want to
that's why you
draw
should,
the cool air from underneath and at the front, just pull it in that way and chuck the hot air out the top and back.
Very true. But I mean, you can also experiment a bit if you don't want to equip every single slot in the case with a fan. You can experiment a bit, and for example, put one fan at the front a bit lower so it's able to blow some cool air towards the graphics card if it needs it. Or if you have a hard drive, for example, you can install that at the bottom and then have a fan at the bottom as well that blows air through the hard drive as well. So that's also something to consider.
Yeah. And what Dutch Fox is saying, if you've got fans at the bottom, it draws dust in. So you've always got to have a filter on the outside of that Dutch Fox, and you've got to change it.
Yeah. Dust filters are very important at every opening where you might draw air into the case, especially. If you do have a dust filter, I recommend just take it out and see how dirty it is, and then realize that's all dirt that would have been inside my PC without the dust filter. So
the other thing you can do is buy the dust thing that I've seen, the thing that Dave's got that I ended up buying. It's like a nozzle, electrically powered, and it just blows air, and it's great for just take your PC outside and just blast all the dust away.
yeah, that's but I mean, for starters, you can also just take out your dust filter and wash it. You can wash it underwater. They can take it. Just make sure they're dried before you put them back in. But yeah, from time to time, you should probably do that. Cool. So they can keep doing their job and it doesn't restrict the airflow.
One more question on the fan front is, I think I know what you're going to say, but Noctua's apparently getting into GPUs. Any plans for Be Quiet to get into GPUs?
We thought about it. We actually did offer GPU coolers, aftermarket GPU coolers as well. Like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago. But there's no market for that anymore because most GPU makers, they've really stepped up their game and are offering good cooling solutions with their custom models. For many, it's actually a USP for their custom models over the Founders Editions. So yeah, but no, at the moment we don't have any plans, but it's something we've looked at, especially since Noctua has done it and that news got out. We are interested in doing it, but we haven't really found the right partner yet.
All right. Well, let's should we move on to cooling then? Talk about air cooling, water cooling, the products you make, the differences.
Yeah, we have the same structure with the air coolers that we did have with the power supplies. We have the Dark Rock range at the top with the Dark Rock Pro, Dark Rock 4, or Dark Rock Pro 4, Dark Rock 4, and the Dark Rock Slim. We also have a Threadripper cooler, the Dark Rock Pro TR4. Those are able to cool basically all high-end processors on the market. With the TR4, maybe not the top Threadripper models with 64 cores. They might throttle a bit if you use air cooling on them. For that, it's probably better to use water cooling. That's a bit more powerful. Then below that, you have the Shadow Rock series with Shadow Rock 3, Shadow Rock Slim, and the Shadow Rock LP, which is a low profile cooler, and the Shadow Rock TF2, which is a top floor cooler. We also have a Dark Rock TF2, which is also a top floor model. But these top floor coolers, they are a bit of a niche market, so most of you probably will prefer a tower cooler, which is able to cool better because they have less bends in the heat pipes. If you have a top flow cooler, it has a one bend more, which means the heat can't transfer to the cooling fins that efficiently. But they have the use cases. They are blowing air onto the motherboard and onto the VRM and RAM if they need it, and they're a bit more low profile. So if you consider a small form factor build, you might want to look into a top floor cooler. And then at the entry level, again, you have the PureRock 2 and PureRock Slim.
Okay, so that's the air cooling side of it. What about the sort of water cooling stuff?
Yeah, with water cooling, we started with the silent loop. Unfortunately, that model had a lot of issues that we tried to solve, but weren't all able to. So eventually, we stopped selling those. And the Silent Loop 2 was released earlier this year, and Pure Loop, which is like the entry level model, was released last year. And that is something where we've started offering or started dabbling in the LED offerings as well a bit. So the Pure Loop has a white LED, and the Silent Loop 2 even has ARGB around the cooling block.
So that size, the Silent Loop 2, it's got 360 mil. That's the biggest one, is it? That's the biggest red.
Yes, yeah. Like 360 is what the maximum you can fit in a mainstream case. Usually, there are a few cases out there, also from us, that are able to fit 420 or even 480 millimeter radiators, but those are mostly. Like I feel if you're getting a 420 or 480 millimeter radiator, you're probably also going to want some custom cooling. So we're not offering that on the AIO front.
Okay, doke. Question is, does Be Quiet have its own thermal compound?
We do, but it's nothing to write home about. Like there's other companies that are really focusing on thermal compound, like for example Thermal Grizzly. We do have a thermal compound, but we don't really do any marketing for that. It's basically something we offer to customers from system integration. And of course, our coolers all come either with pre-applied thermal paste or with a small syringe of thermal paste as well, which is usually very well suited for this particular cooler. But I guess I could call it custom thermal compound. That's not something we're really focused on at the moment.
Okay. And how quiet is the pump on the Silent Loop 2 coolers?
Well, it's very quiet. We do offer decibel ratings. We measure the noise of our product in total. I don't think we measured the pump itself for Silent Loop. Most of the noise is gonna come from the fans anyway. So for example, on the Silent Loop 360, the noise of the whole system at full fan speed is going to be 39.8 decibel at, I think that's 1 meter or 50 centimeters. I'm not quite sure. I think it's 1 meter in a anechoic chamber. A difficult word for me to say. But you won't have it running at 100% most of the time anyway. So, for example, at 50% fan speed, it's only going to be 23.9 decibels. And considering the room, the environmental noise in a silent room is usually around 30 decibels, I would say that's quite silent.
Okay. What type of liquid is in Be Quiet's AIO coolers?
Well, it is mostly distilled water, but we add some chemicals to it to, for example, kill algae that might appear over time, and also chemicals that reduce the likelihood of corrosion.
Okay. How do you test these AIO coolers? so that you can understand what the maximum cooling capability is?
Well, we do test them on actual CPUs, and for the liquid coolers that we have, we actually do give out recommendations as well. If you go to the technical data page, one of the infographics has some recommendations on it. Where we basically say if you have a 120 millimeter radiator, for example, the noise level on an i9 or Ryzen 9 would be quite high, so we don't really recommend that. But that's a good way of finding the right cooler for you, I guess.
I must admit, I'm just looking at the Silent Loop 2. I quite like the block on that, the actual CPU block. It's a really nice design. It's like a brushed steel with a RGB going around it.
Yeah, it's a brushed aluminum and the ARGB ring around it. This also comes with an ARGB controller, like a remote, even though it's connected with a cable. But you can also hook it up to the 5-volt motherboard ARGB header.
Nice. Don't think we've got any more questions on the cooling side.
What we do believe in for our water coolers is refillability. So every AIO cooler, even though it's a closed system and often advertised as maintenance free, it will evaporate liquid over time. Like that doesn't mean it's half empty after a year or so, but we want our customers to be able to use it well even after the warranty is fulfilled, maybe. And we do offer a 3 years warranty on these, by the way. But we want people to be able to use it even longer, and that's why both the Pure Loop but also the Silent Loop 2 have a refill port, and we also it also comes with a small bottle of coolant that we recommend you refill it with.
Interesting. I didn't even
So it's just
consider
something
that.
to increase. Yeah, it's just something to increase longevity. Like that doesn't mean that if you have a water cooler that's not refillable, it's not dangerous. You might, if you use it for 4, 5, 6 years, you might be able to hear some noises from the pump eventually. That's like little air bubbles that get into the pump, and if you use it even longer, that might also cause damage. But most of the time, it's perfectly fine. But we believe in offering this opportunity. Also, you asked about testing. Well, Silent Loop, as I said, we had a lot of complaints for that compared to what we're used to. So for the Pure Loop and also for the Silent Loop 2, we were very careful. We actually had over 20 units of each in our office, or well, in a room in our cooling lab, basically, running 24/7 for over a year to make sure that the same issues don't happen again. So we could probably have released the products much earlier, but we wanted to make sure that we do it right this time. So I don't have any photos right now, but we do have some photos of the coolers set up in our office.
Blimey. I was going to say there's some questions come through. Does Be Quiet plan on making custom cooling components apart from the fans?
Custom cooling, I know that from experience from a company that I worked with before, is a PETA. And I'm happy to report that currently we are not thinking about offering our own custom cooling. But never say never. We might look into it in the future, but right now there's no plans.
And what's your favorite cooler?
Well, I'm using a Dark Rock 4 myself, which I bought because I had to quickly replace my cooler at a LAN party. If I had the choice, I would have bought the Dark Rock Pro 4.
Okay.
So really like the black aesthetics of that one. And I also feel like using an air cooler is a bit more hassle-free, easier to mount. don't have to put that much thought into it.
Yeah. Will the coolers be compatible with the AM5 Zen 4 and LGA 1700 older like sockets?
Very good question. I would have brought that up later probably, but yes, absolutely. We already have a few of our. Oh, we will have LGA 1700, LGA 1800 mounting kits when the coolers come out. Also, we're offering them free of charge to our customers who can also submit a proof of purchase for an Alder Lake CPU or a compatible motherboard. So that's also something that's really important to us. We've done this for basically every CPU launch that I can remember, that our customers always got the mounting kit for free if they needed it. And for AM5, I mean, it's a bit too early to speculate, but I'm just going to say we'll probably treat it the same way as any other CPU launch, which means, yes, we will have mounting for AM5 as well. And it's also going to be free of charge, most likely, for our customers.
That's nice. Any plans to, I know you call everything dark, any plans to make white coolers?
We actually did. We have a Shadowrock 3 in white. So that's kind of our mid-range cooler. So yeah, there's your answer.
So you have done it, but do you still do it?
I mean, it's still in production, yes, but we don't have any other models planned at the moment that we will also release in white. It's like, as I said, our main aesthetic is black and orange. We're not going to make an orange cooler, don't worry. But we do make like black. Black, of course, is our focus for that.
This is a very specific question. Any plans to make a 92mm version of the Silent Wings 3 PWM?
We used to have 92mm fans in the pure segment, I believe. We still do, actually. We have a Pure Wings 2 92mm and also 80mm. In the Silent Wings sector, that's not really feasible for the use cases that we see for the Silent Wing 3. Like 80mm, 92mm, that's something that you put in a server case or something like that, and that's where we wouldn't really recommend using a Silent Wing 3. I'm also not sure if you can really translate the technology of Silent Wings into a smaller fan, because it's using a 6-pole motor. I don't know how easy that is to translate into a smaller fan.
Okie doke. I don't have any more questions on the cooling side. So if there's nothing else you want to talk about there, we could move on to another topic.
That would be the cases, I guess.
Yeah, we can do cases. I think I don't know if you wanted to mention SSD coolers at one point. I don't know if you wanted to go through that before or after cases.
SSD coolers. That's a really, we can shove that in here. That's a really interesting story, actually. Some of you might be one of the lucky ones who got to buy a PlayStation 5. I mean, Sony sold over 10 million units, so there are definitely people out there who own it. And Sony has just, 1 or 2 months ago, published an update to their firmware, where you can now also install an M2 SSD in the PlayStation and expand the storage. And they do recommend a heatsink for the SSDs. And we happen to offer one of these heatsinks, the MC1 cooler. And we, by pure chance, our MC1 is compatible with the PlayStation 5. So the PlayStation 5 can only take SSDs plus heatsinks up to a height of 11.25 millimeters. Our MC1 is up to 11 millimeters high. And our MC1 is also able to cool double-sided SSDs. So there's some SSDs who only have chips on the top, and there's some SSDs who have chips on both sides. And we are able to cool the latter SSDs as well with our MC1. And according to my knowledge, there's no other SSD cooler out there that is able to cool double-sided SSDs, and also has the dimensions to fit in a PlayStation 5. So that was by pure chance, but nonetheless, I think it's a great story.
That is quite a cool story. But as Dave would say, because he's a console master race kind of guy, isn't he? He's not a real PC gamer, I don't think. So he'd probably
Yeah.
interested in that PlayStation 5 cooler.
Yeah, I mean, most of our products are for PC gamers anyway. But this was a really interesting experience to connect to a whole new audience.
I don't think I see any questions on the SSD side, so we can go straight over and talk about cases.
Yeah, so cases is, well, it's our fastest growing sector, I guess, in terms of product portfolio. So we started out with the silent base cases, which is the silent or mid-range case, and then added a dark base range as well with a really large dark base 900, and then later a smaller dark base 700. And we also released an entry level model with the pure base 600, which is still on the market, and then later added a pure base 500, which is a bit smaller. Pure base 500 actually was basically the catalyst for our new direction to also offer airflow fronts for our cases, because that's where it really came to light that many people preferred a case with more airflow. So we made the Pure Base 500 DX, which doesn't just add an airflow front, but also RGB lighting in the front and at the inside the case as well. So we added a few LED strips as well.
I just brought up the Pure Base case. That is a nice looking case.
Yeah, we'll see if we can do something more about it with that, maybe with that design. We really do like that, and Pure Base 500 or the Pure Base 500 series is probably our best selling series as well.
So I've got Silent Base 802. Is that a more basic case, is it?
The 802, well, from the looks, it's a bit more basic, yes, but it is larger. It does offer some more functions. Like, for example, on the Silent Base 802, you can invert the motherboard tray. So basically, you take it out, install it the other way around, and then you can also swap the window, so you don't have the window on the left side anymore, but on the right side.
Oh man, really? That's such a killer feature.
Everything turn around. Yeah, I mean, when you're sitting at your desk, you might want to look inside your PC. So if it's installed this way, you have to put your PC on the right side, but you might want to put it on the left side. So that's why we offer this. We offer to invert, or the option to invert the motherboard tray. We do that with the Silent Base 802, but also with the Dark Base 700 and Dark Base 900.
Because so often the place that you're going to put your PC, you're restricted by the room. Like you can only go in one area, one corner, or on a shelf or whatever. And if the glass just happens to be on the wrong side for you, there's not a lot you can do about it usually.
True. Yeah, exactly. And it just offers some versatility. And speaking of versatility, this one does also come with a closed front and a closed top. So you can basically swap all that out if you prefer a more silent version, or whether and you can also do that on the fly. Like if you notice, if you start with the closed panels and then notice, okay, I'm gonna need a bit more airflow. You can first swap out the front panel. If it's still not enough, you can also swap out the top panel.
Case question. Have you ever thought about making a more retro style case, perhaps with wood, similar to the Atari 2600 had wood?
That would be quite an interesting project. However, we have to think about marketability as well. And while that would be quite a stunt, I don't really see a mass market for that. So it would come at a very, very high cost. And with the current situation and prices of, not only transportation, but also raw goods, that's probably not something we're going to look at.
Just Be Quiet offer anything for laptops? I know laptops aren't upgradable, but they're just wondering if you do anything for laptops.
Not at the moment, no. Like, we don't have any laptop coolers. I haven't actually seen any of those in use for quite some time. So, no.
Okay. Any more questions on the case front, guys? I see you've got 3 in the range: dark base, silent base, and pure base.
I do see a question from Mr. the Wise Man, who's asking whether the Dark Base 900 also comes with a mesh front panel. Unfortunately, no. The Dark Base 900 is also a case that has been on the market for quite a few years, so it might get a refresh soon. And well, if you're looking at the most recent cases that we released, which is the Silent Base 802 with a mesh front or with an alternative mesh front, and the Pure Base 500 DX with a mesh front, you can be sure that the next Dark Base 900 will most likely also have something like a mesh front. I did actually get a mod. I'm using a Dark Base 700. I don't know, maybe I could show it with the camera, but I do have a bit of a mod here. A friend of mine did this. Tim Warning, Dutch Line Custom from the Netherlands, did that to get some more airflow on it.
That looks like the sort of fiery gates of Mordor or something.
Well, that might just be my camera because it's just standard orange.
What is it with orange? You like orange. Dave likes orange. It's just unbelievable.
Well, what can I say? Dave is a man of culture.
Just Be Quiet plan any partnerships with companies to release limited edition cases?
I would love to, but there's nothing in the works at the moment.
Okie doke. Any more
Most of the
questions?
time, we actually did look into a gaming partnership with a studio, and it's quite expensive. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it came down to cost, and we felt like it wasn't really worth it to invest that much into a marketing stunt.
Yeah, you need to have a chat with Red Bull and Max Verstappen and get some kind of orange Red Bull theme going.
Yeah, but we do appreciate anyone who's modding our cases and is giving them a different theme.
Okay. Don't see any more questions on the cases side of things. I think that's most of the topics covered now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk a bit about something that probably a lot of you have encountered, which is availability of hardware, especially at the moment. And maybe I can offer some background on why we're seeing such high prices for hardware at the moment, and why we also see that the demand can't be supplied.
That would be great. Before you do that, can I just quickly mention the giveaway? Because I know we're going to be drawing it fairly soon. Just want to make sure that everybody gets to enter. So, guys, if you want to enter the giveaway, the mods can link you to the giveaway page there. Subscribers, you get 5 tickets that you can redeem straight away, and everybody else, you can exchange 10,000 channel points to get a ticket. You can do that as many times as you want. And then we're going to draw 2 winners at the end because it's 2 bundles. So at the end of this, we'll draw the winners out, and you guys you'll need to be here for the giveaway. That's the important thing, because we're going to ask you to message a moderator straight away with your details. So don't enter the giveaway and then disappear. You need to be here for that. So if you can't be here, don't bother to buy tickets, kind of thing. But we'll do that towards the end. So get your giveaways in now, because we're not far away off the end now. But yeah, Martin's going to talk about why things have been struggling for components and parts, and why things are going up in price.
Yeah. Before that, I also saw 2 more questions that I'd like to answer. Korea Insincere, great name by the way, asked whether the difference between Silent Base 600 and Silent Base 601 is just the size. No, the 601 is much more modern and versatile. It does actually have a real glass window compared to an acrylic glass window of the Silent Base 600. Silent Base 600 is basically equivalent to Silent Base 800. It's basically a smaller version of that. And it's still on the market because it does offer an ODD cage, which is still important to, well, especially our system integration customers. Else, if it wasn't for them, the Silent Base 600 would probably be end of life anyway. So no, it's not just the size. If you get a new case and you're looking at the 600 and 601, I would recommend to get the 601. It's much easier to use. It's got like you can detach the doors with a button, for example, which is very convenient. And the 600, I would recommend to get that, or the pure base 600 if you definitely need an ODD cage in this time and age. And Sim Games fan asked whether said that some of our competitors had issues with GPU risers and blowing up PCSUs, and how we ensure quality from our parts suppliers. Well, rigorous testing is basically the answer to that. So before a product comes to market, we test. And sometimes it has happened in the past that we noticed, even though we do test a lot, something has slipped our mind. And in that case, we've actually done massive reworks when the goods were already in the warehouse of our customers as well, because at the last second we noticed an issue. So that's how we deal with issues like that.
There is a question from Cyberdam. He says, what about personalization service for cases?
I'm not quite sure what you're getting at. I know that some companies are offering a lot of alternative accessory through their own store. What I can tell you about that is, and why we're not doing that, is because we simply don't have our own online store. And it's extremely difficult to sell accessory parts through distribution and through, well, retail and e-tail customers. So that's why at the moment we're not doing that. We do it with a few things. For example, we do offer additional hard drive cages, or we do offer the Windows side panel for some of our cases as accessory through retail and e-tail, but we didn't want to go further down that road.
Question about laptops again. Would you be thinking about offering coolers for laptops? Mr. the Wiseman would like to go for like an Asus Strix, but with cooling from Be Quiet.
I might be a bit out of touch. I mean, I'm using a laptop as well, but I haven't used a cooler for that. So are there actually people using laptop coolers that much?
I remember back in the day when I used to have, I think it was like a Dell gaming laptop I used to have, and it used to get quite hot underneath, and I bought one of those, like a metal, it's like a metal stand, I guess, that you put it on, and it had fans built in. You just plugged it into the USB socket to power it.
Yeah, I had one of those as well with my old MSI gaming laptop, but that really needed it as well. But it kind of defeats the purpose of being able to take it on the road.
Yeah, it's true.
So, I mean, for me, the advantage of working with a laptop, I'm not gaming on a laptop. I prefer my desktop PC for that. But working with a laptop, the advantage is you sit in a plane, you sit in a train, you can work anywhere. But if you also have to think about getting your laptop cooler, that purpose is kind of defeated, I think. So it kind of only makes sense if you use your laptop stationary. But to make a long story short, it's nothing we're looking at the moment. Our main focus is really desktop PCs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to go into your thing then about the global supply shortage?
So it all started, like so many things, with Corona. So last year, when Corona hit China, many factories shut down for a while, and the Chinese New Year actually got extended as well. So people wouldn't go back to work and spread the virus. So that meant that from the get-go last year, we had a long backlog at most factories of orders. On top of that, the demand, and that's something we could actually see as well, the demand for hardware also went up at the same time that our supply went down. So people, I can only speculate as to why that was, but my guesses are people were building PCs for their home office, or they set aside money to go on vacation, which they had to cancel. So instead, they spent it on PCs, entertainment at home. And also last year, we had two new GPU generations and a new CPU generation, which also usually means people are building new PCs. So we had a lot of demand. And basically, just when we thought we caught up to the backlog, the Ever Given accident in the Suez Canal happened. And well, some container ships didn't want to wait until the canal was cleared, so they took the route around the Cape of Good Hope. And then the canal was open again, and other container ships went through the canal and basically arrived at the ports in Europe at the same time as the ships that went around Africa. So you had double the amount of ships waiting at the ports, and that caused massive traffic jams. And then these ships wouldn't just go to one port, they would go to multiple ports. And at every port, they would have to wait for sometimes weeks until they could get rid of the containers. So that in turn meant that no empty containers were actually returned to the factories. So prices for the shipping containers skyrocketed. So for a container today, we have to pay sometimes 3 times as more in shipping cost as we did a year ago. So that's a situation that's not unique to the hardware industry. That's happening in basically any industry that's relying on global shipping. And it's probably going to mean that a lot of products that rely on the global logistics system are going to get more expensive. So I've heard, for example, that it's even affecting like flour, the flour market. And the other thing is that we're also competing for raw goods, raw materials with lots of other industries. Like we're using PCBs, cars are using PCBs, smartphones are using PCBs. I don't know, a Walkman, or well, Walkmans don't really exist, but MP3 players, anything that has electronics in it is using PCBs, and we're competing with all of that. And there's a shortage of these goods as well. And there's companies, yeah, I'm sorry for mentioning the Walkman, that was a bit out of turn. But yeah, so we're competing with a lot of companies that have a much bigger pull, like the car industry, for example. Their demand is much higher. So when there's a limited supply, they will usually get the goods first. So that might be able to give you some insight on why what's happening is happening at the moment. And I do believe that all hardware companies are doing their best to supply the demand, but they've underestimated and are also, for the reasons I mentioned, not always able to supply the demand, the heavily increased demand that we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, I guess it's going to take a long time to clear through, and even then, the prices, I don't think they'll ever go back down to what they were.
I wouldn't hold my breath. So it's probably going to take some month, if not years.
Yeah, months or years. I think so.
Yeah.
Right. Should we, conscious of time, so you want to should we move on and draw some winners and take final questions?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Right. Now, unfortunately, I can't really show the draw winner screen because it puts on personal details like email address and stuff. So I'll just have to click draw and tell you what the name that won it.
We'll just have to take your word for it, I guess.
Yeah, unfortunately. Just the way that Gleam works, as I found out when I tested all this. Right, so what we'll do, guys, I'll draw. Should we draw bundle 1 first or bundle 2? We should draw the low bundle first, do you think? Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, sure.
This
the
is
low bundle, that's going to be a Dark Rock Pro 4 cooler. So even if we call it our low bundle, it's our high-end cooler, a high-end air cooler. It's a Pure Power 11 FM 750 watt power supply unit. It's a 3 Silent Wing 3 PWM fans. It's a mousepad, which is part of our merch. It's a sweatshirt, like the one I'm wearing at the moment, and also a t-shirt.
Cool. Right, so we're going to draw the winner for this bundle, guys. And then when we draw the winner, you're going to have to sort of, put your hand up in chat straight away, and a mod will message you to get some details from you. If you don't respond within a minute or so, or 2 minutes perhaps, then we're going to start picking another winner, because we want to get those people, the winners, picked right now. We're not going to hang around for this. So let me go to my screen. There it is. Winners tab. Right, here we go. I'm going to click draw winners. Good luck, everybody. Drawing winners. Winners to draw. Let's draw one winner for that prize. Just thinking about it. All right. So the winner is won by redeeming channel points, and bizarrely enough lives in Germany. Twitch name Barry_Tone. Barry_Tone. Are you in chat, sir? Barrytone is in chat. Right, Barrytone. That's the right name, Barry_Tone. Mods, can you quickly DM Barrytone and get his details from him? Just let me know. I can't show you the screen because it'll literally show you his email address. I can't show you this. So there's nothing I can do about that, I'm afraid. I can't hide his details and show you. Right, mods, I'll go on to draw the second winner. Just let me know if you've got his details. I'll put his name in our chat so that you've got an exact copy.
So the other bundle will also, on top of that, include a case. So we're including the PureBase 500 window case in white, then a water cooler, the Silent Loop 2 240 millimeter radiator, and also our high-end power supply, Dark Power 12 750 watts, 4 Silent Wing 3 fans, and also a mousepad, sweatshirt, and t-shirt.
This is the other bundle.
That's the second bundle, yes. And I see that Baritone is in chat, so congrats to you.
Congrats indeed. Right, the mods. So the mods have got your email address, Baritone, so it should match what we're seeing on the screen, what's in Gleam, just to make sure, because what we don't want is somebody trying to fake win it, just to make sure that's not possible. So I'll draw the winner now. The other winner is going to be for prize bundle. Let's draw that. Okay, and the winner of that one was a bonus entry from a Twitch subscription. Lives in England and is Twitch name Sherlock127. Sherlock127. Are you in chat, sir? Looks like you are.
Congrats.
Right, the mods can see the Gleam draw, so you know that I'm not making this up. I'm literally clicking on the draw key, but it's got his email address, so I can't show you on the screen. But the winners then, so the winner of the sort of second bundle, as it were, the lower bundle is Barry_Tone, and the winner of the higher end bundle is Sherlock127. Many congratulations to all of you. It looks like, okay, yeah, I just need to verify with the mods that you've got hold of the winners and things check out. Otherwise, we need to draw something else. While we're doing that, can we do some final Q&As? Guys, have you got any more questions for Martin?
Yeah, I'll gladly take some more. But if not, there's a question, a good question from Sir Falcon again. Does Be Quiet use patent from Asetek, or do you guys just have your own pump block design for your AIOs? So the Pure Loop is using a different design. The Pure Loop has the pump on the tubes, basically. So the tubes add a second level of decoupling to the pump, so the pump vibrations are not transferred to the fixed parts like the radiator, for example, that heavily. And that's not the Asetek design. The Silent Loop 2 is using a design that's similar to Asetek, but we are not working with Asetek.
Can you buy a hoodie? Is that the merch available to buy?
At the moment, it's not. We've been thinking for quite some time how we can make our merch available, because we actually do have a team that's dedicated a lot of time into producing our merch, and especially recently where we didn't really have any real life opportunities like shows and events to give out our merch, we have been thinking about offering that, but at the moment it's unfortunately not possible. Giveaways like these are the only possibilities to get their hands on our merch.
Oh no, we'll just have to do more giveaways in future, Martin. Yeah, they're super rare, exactly.
They are, and very comfy as well. Just to rub it in.
You guys ever be brave enough to make a third-party cooler for RTX AMD GPUs? The stock ones are admittedly great. I think Martin mentioned that. They've upped the game already.
I did touch on that. That Be Quiet used to offer third-party or aftermarket GPU coolers, but it's not really a big market anymore, and the manufacturers, especially with the custom designs, are doing a great job at. And you can basically find a cooling solution for any need, whether you prefer a more silent solution or a more performance solution.
Alien Being loves low-profile cases with RGB. Any plans to do that?
Low-profile cases?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what he means by low-profile case. Does he mean like a small cases for a mini ATX or something?
It's small form factor case.
I'm not sure. I'm guessing. I'm trying to wonder what it means myself.
Yeah, I mean, slim ones, slim cases. I mean, if you look at our case portfolio, you will notice the glaring absence of small form factor cases, and that is something we're looking at fixing. But I can't really tell you anything more at the moment. If you get coil wine on a PSU, could you swap in a consumer fan and void the warranty? Coil wine has nothing to do with the fan. So replacing the fan, which I absolutely do not recommend. I did swap the fan on a power supply once because I wanted to install an RGB fan, and I did get shocked. So
literally,
I literally get shocked. Yes. So opening a PSU is not a good idea. I can tell you from experience. I mean, it was just a small shock. So basically, I was awake. It was in the morning, so I was awake for the rest of the day. But you shouldn't ever do that because the capacitors still hold charge even after a few hours after you've disconnected the power. So absolutely not recommended. The other thing is that the fan you might replace the fan with might have a different fan curve, and it's not going to work the same way that the original fan worked. It's going to interpret the signals differently. So don't do that. And also to fix coil wine, fixing coil wine is a bit of trial and error. Basically, you have to make sure that the PSU and the other components work well together. The likelihood of them working well together is higher if you have high quality components, but unfortunately, it's not really that easy, and it's trial and error usually.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing people forget is the capacitors inside still hold a charge, and it's just not a good idea, and it's not going to fix the problem anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah.
I call wine under warranty. Can you return on it?
Our service is usually very lenient when it comes to issues like that, because our goal is that everyone has a quiet product from us. And if it's not quiet, we are usually very open to replacing the product. So if you experience coil wine and it's clearly coming from the PSU and it's a Be Quiet PSU, call our service and ask them about it.
There's a good. I don't know if it's on serious or not. Ever considered making Silent Wings as a USB powered desk fan? People need cooling too.
Funnily enough, yes. It might be something that we create as a merchandise item coming next summer. Maybe we'll see.
Let's get rid of that. I think that's pretty much all the questions.
Rick Newsay is also asking, sorry for butchering your name, as asking whether the warranty is voided if the sticker is removed. In most cases, it's not, or in most jurisdictions, it's not. Just because it says the warranty is void if the sticker is damaged, it doesn't usually mean that the warranty is actually voided. But nevertheless, you should not destroy the sticker, because the only reason to damage the sticker is to open your PSU, which we've established you should never try.
No, that's fair enough. I wouldn't open mine. If mine died, I'd just want a different one. I wouldn't start messing with it.
That's probably the better solution, yes.
Right, I think we're all out of questions. Would Be Quiet ever make a 19-inch rack mount case?
No, we're not in the server market, so that's not something we're considering at the moment, and probably won't consider for the next few years. Not that sticker. Sticker inside the PSU.
Well, you shouldn't be in there in the first place.
Yeah, that shouldn't be in there. So if you took out that sticker, that wouldn't void the warranty, I guess. But you probably took a risk in opening the PSU, which you shouldn't do. But I mean, you're still alive. So am I, even though I got shocked from opening a power supply. But yeah.
So, Martin, obviously we need to wrap things up here.
Yes.
I think we was going to leave it with a little bit of a teaser, wasn't we, for November?
Oh yeah. I hope. Thank you for first of all for hosting me. Thank you also to your wonderful community for providing all these questions for me to answer. And I had a lot of fun. And I would like to be back. And I mean, we did already talk about the possibility of me coming back in November, when we actually have a new product to talk about, which I will show you then. And I think some of you are really going to like it.
Yeah. So obviously we can't give any details, but obviously they got a new product coming out in November. And
not at this point. We are actually going to announce it in about 2 weeks. We have some teasers on our social media profiles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So if you follow us at Be Quiet Official, that's usually our handle for all the social media platforms. we will be having some teasers. Maybe some of you will be able to guess what we're coming out with over the coming week.
And no, Tommy, it's not a USB fan. It's, of course, a
It's
rack-mounted USB fan for cooling people with RGB. That's obviously what it is.
well, now you beat me to it. All right.
It's been great having you on, Martin. Thanks for explaining a lot about the company and all the products that you do and the approach that you guys take. It's been really interesting listening to it. Obviously, I think chat's really appreciated it as well.
Glad to hear that. And yeah, I will be back. So if you have any questions, or you can use the time to think of any questions that you have, to be quiet about how one of our products is made, exactly how we test, anything like that. So you can ask them next time, and I'll do my best to answer them.
No, that's brilliant. Well, thank you for doing the giveaways. We've got all the details off the 2 winners now, so I'll get them sent over to you, and then you can get the bundles sent out, which is awesome.
Yeah, sure. I'll do my best to dispatch them as soon as possible, depending on where the winners are. It might take a bit. They might also be in a different customs zone, so that adds some complications, but nothing we can't handle.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. Right. Well, I don't know about you, but I need to go and get some food, I think.
Oh, yeah, me too. All right. Okay. Thank you, and take care.
Thank you very much, Martin. Speak soon. That's that done, I think.
So when's the USB fan coming out? Scleros.
A USB fan, lol. Right. That's it, guys, for now. I'm going to take a break. Obviously, we're a little bit late. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for being really cool. I thought it was interesting. I really enjoyed having him on the... I should have got rid of that one. Not that one, shouldn't I? I really enjoyed having Martin on the stream. I learned a lot as well. And I think, he's cool. The company's pretty cool. I think he was quite honest with everybody about the products and the warranties and the approach and things. But yeah, he's going to be back here in November, I think, to tell us about the new products that's coming out, which I can't mention either because I'm on the NDA. I know what they are, but I haven't seen the products. So yeah, that'll be a good thing to look forward to, and hopefully maybe I can twist his arm a little bit and we can get some more merch giveaways going. But I have a question for you. How did you find the giveaway process? Because obviously it is a new thing that we're doing.
Enjoy your well-earned tea and cake.
Thank you very much, Moose. Thank you. What was it? What was the giveaway process like? The whole Gleam thing. Was it easy? Was it hard? Was it, Patricia Draw's not live. I can't show it, Sir Falcon. I cannot show it. I hoped I could, but if you actually go to the Gleam screen, you can create a free Gleam account and create a giveaway. And look what happens when you click draw. It just literally shows you. It says the position, the entry, the person who entered. It's got their email address, the country they live in, how they won. Like, I don't mind how they, the country they live in. That's not so bad, but it shows the town name and then their email address. So that's a bit can't show that. Gleam demanded a social media login to prove I'm human, so I didn't enter. No, it should have asked you just for the Twitch. You should have only needed to use your Twitch to get in. A bit confusing with the channel point system. Okay. Chat went too fast. I had to connect to Gleam first to redeem points, raise to 20k. I think putting on your stream screen would have been good for next time. Okay, I consider doing that then. It's easy, a bit confusing at first if you didn't see the Gleam page. Well, the problem is, here's the problem, Bigfoot, right? So the way I wanted this to go was we talk to Martin, and then as we get towards the end, I say, right, guys, here's the giveaway. This is what you need to do. And then off you go. The problem is, as soon as just after 3 o'clock, I enabled the channel point part of it, and somebody in Twitch chat noticed it. So they clicked on the redemption thing, went, oh, be quiet giveaway, redeem 10,000. And once one person did it, everybody else started doing it. So you guys kind of, well, somebody started that process off, and that was out of my control. Yeah. So that's not the way I planned it to go. So next time we do this, I am not going to enable the channel points in chat right up until the point where I want it to happen. Then I'm going to enable it, and then I'm going to explain the giveaway. So I've learned something as well. But it is what it is, right? But you guys got a bit ahead of the curve on that one. So I'm sorry if you wasted points, but that's not how it was meant to go down. Yeah, I will do, Jetro. I think I'll explain things and then enable them at the same time is what I'll do. Yeah, because somebody notices it and then just kick. As soon as somebody pushes that snowball down the hill, off it goes. Anyway, guys, it's 4:30. I'm going to take a break for an hour. So obviously starting a little bit later than I normally do, but I've gone on a break a bit later, right? So I'll come back at 5:30. We'll carry on with that funky train game. Oh, Whiteland. I have got a box here, Whiteland, which I think is from you. I have received a parcel, mate. Should we do it at the start of the next stream, maybe, Whiteland, in an hour's time? Or would you prefer to do it now? Because I'll have to go and find Mrs. Squirrel. Whereas if we do it later, I can arrange her to come in kind of thing. Now's better for you. Hang on. Let me see if I can get her. Let me see if I can get a Whiteland. Oh, you think this one's for me? I thought you said you were sending Mrs. Squirrel something. Dude, she's going to be so angry with me now. I told her this was for her, not... You told me that something was coming from Mrs. Squirrel. I told her this is for her, and now you're telling me it's for me. Do you know how much trouble I'm going to be in? Hang on. Thank you for 43 months, Moose, by the way. Let me just change this. All right. Anybody want to guess what's in here? Anybody want to guess what's in here from Whiteland? I swear, if it's a Be Quiet sweatshirt... the good old Russian doll. I love a box in a box in a box, don't you? Hang on. Right. I've not seen it yet. I still don't know what it is. Are you sure this is not for Mrs. Squirrel, Whiteland? A grey heated luxury fleece throw. Fully machine washable, super energy efficient, quick heat up time, timer function. Whiteland, mate, you know that you've just put my electric bill up. You do realise this, don't you? This is going to get switched on a lot in my house now. As long as you have a happy wife, it'll be fine. Thank you, Whiteland. Thank you very, very much. Mrs. Is this, just to be clear, Whiteland, is this for me or Mrs. Squirrel? Because you just said it was for me. Because I want to know if I can go in there and say, look what I got. That's for her. Yours is late and this came early. Okay. I don't know where she is, though. She's not answering my text. I'm not sure she's in Whiteland. She might have gone out, dude. Whiteland. Thank you very much. That's greatly appreciated. I'll go and pass it over to Mrs. Squirrel if I can find her. I think she'll be ecstatic, honestly. She was sitting on the sofa last night complaining she was cold. And I said, well, put a jumper on. She didn't even have a jumper on. I said, you can't complain you're cold and not wear a jumper. Anyway, guys, I'll be back in an hour. I did, Whiteland. I'll go. She'll be over the moon with this. I'll let you know what she says. She'll probably squeal with excitement. Yeah, I'm back at 5:30. We'll carry on with the train game. So I shall see you then. So, yeah, take it easy, guys. Bye for now.